able to exploit if I have extra width available, which is not using the actual cell layout.
Yeah. So even for height, you are not able to use the metal 2 tracks, isn't it? You're leaving those metal 2 tracks for the user to use them. Similarly for width, if the width is larger, then more metal 3 tracks will run, but you're losing area.
Okay, so metal 3 has to be decided by M3. Sorry, width has to be decided by M3.
So just like height is used, height we agreed was decided by number of M2 tracks that can run. Width is decided, the width you cannot limit as to how many tracks it will run. Width you have to decide based on how big your cell is. But you can size the cell only in units of 0.2.
Okay,
The
so
width
both
has
will
to
be
be in multiples of 0.2.
okay, sir.
Okay.
Okay, because vertically the metal 3 tracks will run. So those metal 3 tracks also have to be integer as a number, है ना?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sir.
Yes.
Sir, regarding this PR boundary, I had one question. Sir, the VDD and ground rail should be twice the width of actual metal one, right?
That is not necessary. तो आप लोगों ने decide कर लिया होगा कुछ. That is what is the one that you're keeping as of now?
Sir, actually, what I have done is made VDD twice the width. So means from one metal one that would come inside one standard cell, and another metal one would come the standard cell that will abut above it. So like that way means.
Yeah, but it need not be minimum, na? It need not be limited to twice the minimum. It can be much wider. That is what I am saying.
Sir, actually, I asked this question because once you told that supply rail should be kind of twice the width, something like that.
Yeah, but minimum, they have to be at least twice. They can be much wider also.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's move to the lecture then.
Sir, so why don't we use fingers in standard cell layout?
I'm sorry?
Why don't we use fingers in standard cell layout?
You use fingers in standard cell layout, Aditya?
So before you told we cannot use standard cell.
I did not say you cannot. I said we will keep the load low so that your job is not made complex. You can make simple stick diagrams.
Okay.
I just wanted to make your task easier. You have to use fingers. If I ask you to make a larger drive cell, then you will have to use fingers. There is no other way.
Okay. Okay.
But that would have made your job more complex. I didn't want to do that for you because that doesn't really add much.
Yes.
If you want, I can increase the load to 100 femtofarads. You will have to put fingers.
Then I have to use fingers.
I will do it right away. मेरे लिए तो just changing the specs है. But we have to use fingers because height is limited. So otherwise, how will you increase the size of devices?
Yeah, we need to. Only option we'll use fingers.
Yes. So it is not that we don't have to use fingers. We have to use fingers. But for you guys, I said okay. For now, just to keep it simple enough, we avoid fingers. Fingers use करना आपको आता है, haven't you? Haven't you used fingers?
Yeah, we have used.
Since you've already learned that, I didn't want to force that on you again.
Okay.
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 Yeah. So what were we doing in the last class?
So just started the dynamic.
We had introduced the dynamic logic. So what is dynamic logic? Why is it called so?
Because the output is not driven and like always driven, and we get a floating kind of output, and it depends upon the charge that is stored on the capacitor. So not always driven.
So while in static gates, we say that the output or all the nodes are always driven. You do not leave things non-floating in static CMOS case. In dynamic logic, we realize that there is only N stack, and on the PMOS side, you have a clock-based header, and at the end of the bottom of the NMOS stack, you have a clock-based footer. And you said that this system will lead to a floating gate condition when the remaining NMOS stack is off, the PMOS will go off when clock goes high, and you will end up having floating output. So since that kind of, and then at that point of time, you are dependent on the charge stored on that floating output to ensure that you are stable, that you are robust. So that is where it is called as a dynamic. Due to leakage, you may need to refresh this. So at the end of every clock cycle, this capacitor, whether it had discharged or not, will again be charged up to VDD. Okay, so we also started to look at the challenges or limitations around dynamic gates. What were they?
Sir, there is very less noise immunity.
There is very less noise immunity. Okay.
For a particular within a single cycle of the clock, the inputs can be changed at most once.
So the inputs can change only at most once. An input can go from 0 to 1 only once. If there is a glitch, then I have a problem. Okay. What
As we are
else?
supposed to charge and discharge this, the power consumption is high, sir.
Activity factor is very high. So
Yes, activity factor is also very, that's something different, but yeah.
Yes, activity factor is very high because in terms of when you compare it with a static gate, even if the inputs have not toggled, a static gate would not consume any power, but a dynamic gate will always consume power. Because at the end of every evaluation phase, there is a pre-charge phase, and in that pre-charge phase, whatever capacitances you had discharged would get pre-charged all over again. Okay. What else? So we also saw that in dynamic gates, the total number of transistors would be something like n plus 2 versus 2n for the static CMOS. You're able to see this n plus 2, the plus 2 things?
yes, sir.
The header clock, the PMOS with the header clock and the NMOS with the footer clock. Then the good thing about this is, so we have lesser number of transistors, but much better situation than let us say PTL or pseudo NMOS, because outputs are full swing. Outputs are full swing. The output is either full VDD, and when it has to be 0, it will be taken to full ground. So outputs are full swing. And because outputs are full swing and the NMOS stack or PMOS stack is not, there is no race condition or fight back between the two NMOS and PMOS stack, like in pseudo NMOS kind of a case, the sizing does not really affect the logic levels. The sizing affects the delays, but it does not affect the logic levels. And what also has happened, we discussed this also in the last class. We've reduced the capacitance. Which all capacitances have we reduced?
Input
All the PMOS.
for the PMOS one.
The PMOS.
We've reduced the input capacitances because there is no PMOS. The signals now no longer need to go to the PMOS. So if I would make a inverter, a dynamic inverter, the PMOS would have a clock on it. There would be one NMOS with a clock on it, and then there will be the other NMOS. So the effective logical effort of this dynamic inverter would be, can you quickly tell me? Hello?
So 1/3.
1/3. So wait a minute. I seem to have lost control over my PowerPoint slideshow. Why 1/3? Just correct me. 1/3 कैसे?
Sir, it
There
is
are two
2/3,
NMOSes
sir.
in stack. There are two
2/3.
NMOSes in stack. How would you size the NMOSes?
2 for the input
for
and 2 for the clock.
device.
2 for the device, 2 for the input gate, and 2 for the clock. So what is the total load that the input gate is seeing now?
2 units.
2 NMOS, है ना? So what do we do then? What is the what is this thing then?
The logical effort is 2/3, sir.
The logical effort is 2/3, है ना?
Do we still divide by the static
2/3.
Yeah, we can divide by the static, like that is the reference for us as of now, is it not?
Sir,
है ना? Yes.
so how it has become 2 by 3? Can you please explain that again?
What is the input load of a regular inverter?
So 3.
And what is the input load of this inverter that we talked about?
So we have a NMOS in between that will be of size 1.
Why?
So 1 ही होना चाहिए ना. अच्छा,
क्यों?
we have a footer 2. So उसका size 2 होगा, footer का भी 2 होगा.
है ना?
Yes sir. हाँ, okay. Understood sir.
So if you look at it, just give me a moment. Your system would look like this. Am I right?
Yes
This
sir.
will be a dynamic inverter. So the logical effort is 2 by 3. Okay. Fine.
Yes sir.
Okay. So then what do we do? If we say that this is the kind of logical effort that we have, what now logical effort se वापस आते हैं, what other constraints do you see would be happening with this kind of a dynamic gate now? You're circuit designers. What kind of things would you see in the dynamic gate now?
So I mean, I can see that we cannot use like cascades, like stages in stage concept here, like dynamic.
Interesting. Why do you say so?
So because we have that constraint now, because that input can go from only 0 to 1. And suppose in we have cascaded it. So if that is going, the 1 is going there. So in that, for the subsequent state, it will disrupt that. The same kind of problem we will face that we didn't want to face with this.
Same kind of problem, matlab?
So I mean, like if we have inputs other than going from 0 to 1, then we see that if the capacitor is discharged, then we don't have any option. It will, and that logic then will basically, we will get different kind of, we will get basically wrong outputs basically.
But the dynamic will always have 1 to 0 transition at output. Right?
Yes, because at the end of the cycle, you had to charge it to 1. So if the output has to transition, it will always be from 1 to 0. There is no other transition possible. And it was already 1. It can only go to 0 now, or it will remain as 1. When it remains as 1, what do we say? It is floating.
Yes, sir.
When it remains as 1, we say that it is floating. Are you with me? Because the PMOS is off. In the evaluation phase, CK equal to 1, so PMOS is off. And we say it is floating. And this PMOS on which CK goes will be off. Friends, I want feedback.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So once we look into this aspect, then we say that let me show my slides again. Just give me a moment. So then we come to other properties of dynamic gates where we say that overall power dissipation is higher. We do not want glitching to happen. And we already said higher transition probabilities, and clock has very high load. Are you able to see this? That in a static CMOS logic style, there is hardly any load on clock. Clock only goes to the flip-flops. Whereas over here, clock goes to every combinational gate. So the load on clock is very high. And we know that for clock, alpha is equal to, activity factor is equal to
One.
1. So that is another reason why overall power of a dynamic logic system is very, very high. One is that there is all additional toggling on the inputs also, higher transition probabilities, but extra load on clock is also there. Then the pull down network starts to work as soon as the input signals exceed VTN. So the transition level VIM and VIH are equal to VTN. As soon as the input touches VTN, you now know that okay, my output is starting to discharge. So if there is a noise of more than VTN, your output starts to get corrupted. So we talked about low noise margin already. Precharge, okay, we already know. So one another important issue. So we talked about the floating output. So why is that an issue? That is an issue because see, there is this diode leakage over here. Due to this, what happens is that you wanted the output to remain 1, but it is floating. Due to this leakage, this output will discharge.
Yes, sir.
And this then needs to be restored. There is no way to restore this. So what you need to do otherwise is you need to give the next clock pulse. So clock goes to 0, then again it precharges back. So you need to give this refresh kind of a pulse over and over again. This also leads to extra power consumption.
Sir?
Yes.
Sir, I mean, like we can say that we can also reduce this period for this discharging is happening. Then also we can limit that then basically.
Yeah, but it is so okay. How is the clock period of a pipeline or any logic determined? It is based on that overall evaluation time of that combinational block, na?
Yes, sir.
So if you need some period, then you need that period.
Okay.
Anna, are you able to see this?
So that is constrained.
It would depend upon the critical input as well, right? The input which is most delayed.
Yes. Anna? So there will be lots of signals which are coming to your combinational logic, and the last one and how much time it takes to evaluate that one, that will finally determine how much you need. So how do we correct the charge leakage problem? By using something very similar to what we call as level restorer in the transmission gate or pass transistor logic. We call it a keeper over here. Okay. This transistor that we put as a half latch back there is called keeper. And now what you get is you get out bar at the output. Are you able to see this?
Sir, actually this keeper here will only prevent the charge from the CL to prevent the CL charge from discharging. But
it will recover any leakage that has happened from AB stack.
Yes, sir. So I mean, in effect, it is preventing the charge leaking from that load basically, or restoring that.
Charge does not leak from the capacitor, na?
Because now it will be from directly from the VDD.
Charge does not leak from a capacitor. Charge leaks from A and B, the transistors that have A and B connected to their gates.
Okay.
Capacitor थोड़ा ना leak कर रहा है. Capacitor का charge leak कर रहा है.
No, actually the charge is provided actually. I was taking that. Yeah. So now, so but ineffectively the power that was lost due to leakage that will lose, but now the source is different basically.
Yeah. So leakage you cannot reduce.
Okay.
You're not reducing leakage.
Okay.
Just saying that the impact of leakage on the gate and its reliability has been mitigated.
Okay.
Okay. Rajneesh, you have a question?
Sir, can you move back to one slide, sir?
Okay.
सर इसमें सर जैसे आपने बोला सर कि आउट जब ये ऊपर हम लोग का प्री चार्ज ऑफ रहेगा तो हम लोग का आउट ये लीक करता रहेगा इस रिवर्स डायोड के थ्रू। पर सब जब हम लोग ये प्रीचार्ज भी ऑन कर रहे हैं तब भी तो सर ये डायोड रिवर्स बायस है सर, तो तब भी तो लीक होना चाहिए सर। जब
Yes, but then there's a stack effect also coming, na? CK is also 0. See, when this device is fully on, then anyway there is something that will provide charge to this node. I don't have a problem, na?
yes,
Whatever leakage happens, that it will follow this path, not this path.
okay sir,
Are you able
Yes.
to see this?
yes sir.
है ना? Okay. So, anything
Sir,
else?
Sir, this inverter that I use will be static.
This inverter that I used, yeah, this will be static.
नहीं तो सर लूप बन जाएगा.
Yes, otherwise it becomes tricky. It will not. You cannot really cascade it like this. Tarun?
Sir, that out bar is meant only for keeper circuit, right? If I want to transfer the output to next stage, I will be using the out, the on one on the CL, right?
No, not necessary. In fact, we use the out. So as we talk about cascading gates, so there is a complexity in cascading the gates. Someone pointed that thing out. We'll talk about it in a little. So as we will talk about it, you will realize that we cannot have a gate or we cannot have input transitions going from 1 to 0 in a dynamic gate. See, we said only one transition is accepted. What is also important to realize is that that transition has to be a rising transition. It cannot be a falling transition. Are you able to see this? So if it has to be a rising transition, then the output has to be inverted from whatever you got from the dynamic gate. So actually you will use out bar at all the places where you need to use this, the output of this combinational gate. Okay. Vaishnav?
Sir, yes, sir. So the inverter which I am placing after my position of my load, sir, that should be sized according to my keeper, right, sir? Or am I thinking of it something
Output
else?
load. That should be sized according to the load that you want to put on this.
Sir, but the output of my inverter is connected to my keeper, and I should make sure that my keeper works fine whenever my output, main output is going down. So in this sense, I think my keeper should be, my inverter should be sized according to the keeper.
Yes, it has to be sized according to the keeper and also on the load that you put on out bar. That is what I'm saying.
Okay.
The load that you put on out bar will be much, much larger than this keeper. This keeper is going to be very small. Just like we talked about level restorer in the PTL, this keeper has to be very small so that it does not fight back the input transitions.
Okay, sir. Sir, and one more small question, sir. So, sir, in project, we are supposed to place our load at this position only, input, before the inverter position, 25 femtofarad, which we were talking in the domino logic.
Yeah, I just answered this question, no? Not necessary. In fact, Tarun asked exactly this question. I said, no, you will have to put it on the output of the inverter.
Okay.
If you have static gates following it, then it can be different. But if you have dynamic gates following it, it has to be an out bar.
Okay, sir. Okay. So, okay, sir. Understood. Thank you.
Okay. Madhur?
Sir, this level restorer, you said that this level restorer has to be small, but we are keeping it so that it can reach, it can restore the level of CL. But if it is small, then it
Only
will have
leakage.
high.
Only leakage, no? So it's only leaking. The leakage currents are much smaller than on currents, is it not?
Yes, sir.
So you need a very small keeper.
Okay, so even small keeper will restore the charge even if it has a high resistance.
Yeah, because this keeper will be fully on. See, the keeper is on. Output is expected to be 0. Out bar is expected to be 0. So the keeper is fully on. The PMOS is in saturation region.
Yes, sir. Okay.
So saturation current of the PMOS versus off current of the NMOS. So keeper can be fairly small.
It will still depend on the size. It's a saturation current.
Yes, but you will see, if you're working on the project with the dynamic gate, you will see the skipper will actually be very, very small. Not only will the width be 0.135, you will also keep length much larger than 0.06.
Okay. Okay, sir. And so one more thing is that in all these restorer circuits, we are actually creating a feedback. So wouldn't that feedback, I mean, how will we ensure that this feedback is we actually get out of this feedback whenever we
By
want?
keeping the skipper and level restorers very small. That's the purpose. If we keep these small, then even the regular strength NMOS will be able to fight back. No?
Okay. Yeah.
This is the primary purpose.
Okay.
So see, the functionality is only to recover the leakage charge. So you don't
Yes,
need
sir.
much current anyways. Then another constraint is you do not want it to fight back the forward path.
Yes, sir.
So you keep it small. Both the constraints lead you to keeping the skipper very, very small as possible.
Okay. Okay, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Sir.
Raghav.
Yes, sir. So with this keeper, you said that earlier in the dynamic side that it is a non-ratioed like logic. So to maintain that, then also like we have to keep the keeper like to be like 0.135. We cannot increase from that.
The keeper is, as Madhur also mentioned, keeper is a feedback.
Yes.
As soon as you have feedback, ratio logic comes in again.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So
until there was this no keeper there, everything was fully logical. As soon as we have this keeper, a sizing constraint comes in. The keeper has to be as small as possible.
Yes, sir. So, but you said that we will also increase the length, like to maintain that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because if you cannot reduce the width less than 0.135 in your technology, and you want to still make it weaker, then the easiest way is to increase the length.
Okay. So, but like my point was, I understand that we had to keep it to the minimum side, but what exactly will be that sweet spot? Like, how do I know about that? Okay, I cannot.
You check the leakage of your device.
Okay.
You check the leakage of your device at FF 125.
Okay.
In fact, you should do it at FS, fast NMOS, slow PMOS. At FS 125, highest voltage, the keeper should be able to, because PMOS is now slow, the PMOS keeper should still be able to compensate for the charge loss through the NMOSs, which are fast. Temperature is also high, so leakage is high.
So why shouldn't I prefer the FF 125, 132 and FS?
And you will make the keeper also fast. It will anyway be able to offer more current.
Okay, right. Yes.
For the worst case sizing, you have to test it at, you have to size the keeper at fast NMOS, slow PMOS, and at high temperatures and at high voltage. So that leakage is maximum, and at high voltages, at high temperatures, the drive strength of the PMOS will also reduce.
Yes, sir.
That is the pace where you will size the keeper.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes. Gagandeep?
Sir, in the layout of domino logic, if I am using a standard cell template, then I am able to see that if I am using 4 to 5 input AY, then I have 7 to 8 NMOS and only 3 PMOS there, including the inverter. So, sir, this looks like N1 के अंदर बहुत सारा area would be wasted.
Yeah, we discussed this in the office as also. You were not there then?
Sorry, sir, I missed it.
Not seen the recording also?
I'll see the recording.
No. So what we do is at the edges, we keep the NVL width to be as much as we want it. So we make our PMOSs here, you make the output PMOSs here, all that you do. Then you take this up. And then what you do is you put your NMOSs here. So now you have more space for your NMOSs.
Okay.
Okay. But this minimum width of NVL has to be maintained. This minimum width of NVL has to be maintained. And this has to be maintained. So आप DRC सारे maintain करके, you can always do this.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Deepank?
Sir, I just wanted to confirm that only the rising transition is accepted because when the clock is high, that would only be, that would only be the transition which would help the output to discharge, and there is nothing other, no a special reason for other than this.
You tell me. If the clock is high, that is when the evaluation phase is on.
Yes.
Let us say A and B were initially 1, and you say only one transition is allowed. Now B goes to 0 after some time. After clock has come, B goes to 0 after some time. And you say,
Yes.
oh, this is only one transition. Allow this. Will it work?
No, it won't work.
Yes, that is why.
Yeah.
Only one transition, and that too a rising transition.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Sir,
Yes,
one
please.
small question regarding this C load thing. So this C load should be attached after one more inverter after outbar, right? Because or else
The
output will be
CL is in their case they've just put the C load there, but if you have to if you have to cascade, so after this dynamic gate, the dynamic NAND gate, if you were to use static gates, then all that C load can come on this place where they have put the CL. However, if it has to be dynamic gates, then you will just see, जो अभी हम बात कर रहे थे, Deepank also asked exactly the same thing, that you only accept 0 to 1 rising transitions. So you have to have this inverter in place. Without this inverter, you cannot connect the next dynamic gate stage. Because if you connect a dynamic gate stage over here, let us say you put another dynamic gate stage over here, what will happen?
Sir,
So this is one. Clock comes, this one would discharge.
Discharge, yes.
Now, this was already 1, but over here also A and B were 1. So they also discharge. Now this goes to 0. What will you do now?
Okay. So the next PDN network would be off.
But it is already discharged the capacitance over here, na?
Yes, and nothing we could do to
now we lost this information. Now this is not usable. Therefore, what we do is we instead modify the logic in such a way that we will put out bar at your gate. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Instead of CL.
So one more small question is that suppose we are suppose not cascading and only making one AOI only complex gate. Then to represent the correct output, we need to put an inverter, right? Because
so which chip are we talking about? Which chip are we talking about? Can there be a chip which has only one gate? Just give me a moment. Yeah, I'm sorry. So see, you cannot really make just one static gate somewhere, can you?
No, sir.
So you will always have more designs. You cannot have a chip with only one gate. So let's not talk of a hypothetical situation. When there are gates cascaded one after the other, if the gate cascaded after a dynamic gate is a dynamic gate, then that gate has to come after this inverter. It cannot come before the inverter. If it comes, then we have to design that gate in a different manner. We will just see that also. So let's just hold these questions of cascading gates for a little while. Is that okay? We'll cover that part in just a little.
Okay. Yes.
Vaishnav?
Sir, I have a general question, sir. So my clock will be running all over all over my layout, sir. So my doubt was that, so I should make sure that my clock should be a LCM of these both gate, both inputs A and B, for suppose in this case.
LCM?
Least common multiple of period of both inputs, so that I can get all my outs.
A and B are not A and B are not clocks. They do not have a period. They are just like, let us say I'm adding two numbers, so there could be 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, anything that could be. It is not a clock. So what do you mean by period of A and B?
Okay, that was my doubt, sir. Actually, as my A and B signals are not sure, then how am I supposed to know that my clock, which I give to this system, should make sure that I should be capable of doing every, for A and B, there are 4 combinations, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, and 1, 1. I should be capable of doing all these combinations. In that case, now if I look into the system, then for the 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1 kind of thing, I'll have some specific time period of A and time period of B. If I give it for suppose, then my clock in this condition should be the LCM of these both time periods in a specific condition. Then, but
do you have a time period for a non-recurring signal?
No, sir. This was my doubt. I got it clarified just now.
Okay. There's no time period of A and B.
Okay.
There is a timing constraint between A and B and clock, that A and B should be settled before clock arrives. That timing constraint you can talk about. But time period there's nothing like a time period for A and B.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. So you want that if the A and B have to be 1, then they should arrive some time before clock arrives. That's it. Rajneesh?
Sir, the clock frequency here must be of one particular one. No? It should not vary with if we are doing some different operation. So if the clock frequency is varying, then sir, this time period must be constant, no, sir, for a particular sizing of circuit, sir.
Yeah, for a particular processor, for a particular design, you will arrive at some clock frequency at which you will operate.
Yes, sir. Okay.
So all the combinational gates will get the same clock, whether it is an AND gate or a AY or whatever it is.
Okay, sir.
So another problem that happens. So abhi tak humne leakage dekha. We just now looked at the leakage problem. Now consider this case. CLK is already 1, let us say. And now A goes to 1, B remains at 0. What happens?
CL will charge CA.
There will be charge redistribution between CL and CA. And what does this do to CL?
So its logic level basically gets decreased.
It will discharge and there's no way to recharge it back.
Yes, sir.
So what do? Then again, you put level restorers. Now in this particular gate, it does not look very complex, but look at this gate. There is some CL, which is 50 femtofarads, and there are this large internal capacitances also. So if you really end up using this 50 femtofarad capacitor to distribute its charge all over the place, you may actually come to as low a value as VDD by 2. Are you able to see this?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So what do? What can you do over here?
Recharge the internal nodes.
Sorry. So yes, you will put some precharge somewhere. So just like the level restorer, the keeper that we had put there, we would put some keepers over here also. So we will actually end up putting keepers at, suppose if you have this, so you can always, find out how the charge distribution would happen. This is very basic. You can find this out. I can assume that you can find this out, friends.
Sir, but is it not increasing the area of our circuit? Like if we are putting keepers?
Yeah, it is.
So, and keepers usually we put an inverter which is of larger size because.
Because?
Am I right? Yeah, because it is closer to the load, the inverter would be of larger size. So all in all, area तो हमारा बढ़ ही रहा है. तो फिर dynamic
So
का फायदा.
look at this complex gate that we just saw. This one.
Yes.
So this is a 4-input AOI kind of a gate. Huh. Now area is increasing, yes. Because you put one keeper, let us say you end up putting keepers at all these big capacitances. You will put one keeper over here, one keeper over here, whatever. Okay? So you put
Yes.
some, but these are very small PMOSs. Now, if for this NMOS pull down network, you had
Okay,
to make a pull up network. What
Yes,
was the
sir.
area that you were looking into?
हाँ वो okay.
है ना?
So I got confused because I thought कि कीपर के साथ हम इन्वर्टर भी लगाएंगे, लेकिन वो नहीं होगा ना. इन्वर्टर का यहाँ पे जरूरत नहीं होगी कुछ.
एक ही लगेगा ना.
Okay,
की जरूरत है, but वो तो एक ही लगेगा.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
है ना?
Understood.
So, but with the keepers, I'm not only about the area, but I'm seeing that the clock is also getting. We had to provide more power, clock power, and then also the parasitics also is increasing at the point we are providing the keepers.
Why
So
is more clock power there?
So I mean, clock has to drive then more kind of devices, right? Because the PMOS that would be using for the keeper, that will be also be driven by the clock. So if we add more and more keepers,
Need not be. That can be driven by this output also, no? Can be clock, but even the output, because finally you wanted this to be, if this was 1 and you want to maintain it as 1, you do not want to discharge it, you just use it like that.
Okay, yes.
है ना?
Yes.
So we can combine the precharge and keeper then.
Precharge will happen from the clock. Precharge will happen from MP over here.
Right. So another third transistor for keeper then.
Yeah, a keeper is to be added.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Sir, will we add a single keeper for single node, or one keeper can take care of many nodes?
You tell me. How many source and drain does one keeper have?
Sir, if I attach one source to many.
So it means you're shorting all those nodes. They become one node then.
Oh, sorry.
Rajneesh?
सर इससे तो हम लोग का TPLH भी सर कम हो जाएगा सर, क्योंकि सर
Yes.
सर ये तो सर हम लोग का सर बहुत इनएफिशिएंट हो गया ना सर. मतलब हर एक नोड के लिए फिर एक कीपर लगाना, मतलब क्लॉक को केवल आउट को चार्ज करने के लिए यूज कर रहे हैं, बाकी कीपर अलग लगा दे रहे हैं नोड को चार्ज
Yeah, but see, look at it like this. Yes, it appears to be inefficient, but it is much, much faster.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. At cost of increased area. Yes.
No, not increased area. Area, as we just discussed, is also lesser. Keepers are very small. The PMOSs that you will need to put with this pull down network will be very large comparatively.
Okay, sir.
है ना?
Sir, even if my output capacitance charge is being discharged by the parasitics in between, but I have my keeper above for my output capacitance. So is this keeper is it not sufficient to drive my output to VDD back again?
Depends, Vaishnav. Just as we looked in that example, if the output has gone to VDD by 2, then the inverter must have also gone too high. So keeper would have turned off.
Okay, so in that case, my keeper is inefficient to get back.
So that is where you will then need the clocks, or you will need keepers also in those internal places and not just on the top.
Okay, okay, sir.
Okay, so that there is minimal charge sharing. Okay. Yeah, Raghav.
Yes, sir. Sir, like as Rajneesh asked that we can get some positive thing with the advantage with the TPLH, but sir, I think that theoretically TPLH is 0, right? I mean, because the rising thing that the clock is taking care of, the precharge phase is taking care of that.
The reset phase. No, there is a reset phase. Precharge time, we said the reset time would reduce. Yes, fine.
Okay. And sir, like here you were talking like with the extra keeper that you're hacking, we don't necessarily need to connect it with the clock. We can connect it directly with the output like inverter.
Hmm.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
No, what is the problem with when we do that? So we can do that.
Yes.
In specific cases, we can do that. But what is the problem? When we will not be able to do that?
Sir, aren't we deadshotting the out with the node internally, sir?
Out?
Yeah, output voltage which we have. We are deadshotting it with the node which is in between A and B.
Why?
Sir, my keeper is connected to output, however, and this same position is being connected in between of my A and B.
No, so we said we have to add an extra keeper, no?
Yes. So okay. So here, sir.
Abhi यही तो सवाल था. Suddenly pass this thing, na? Can I just add one keeper and charge all the nodes with that? And we realized no, that is not possible.
Okay, so this keeper which you are showing is only for an internal node in this diagram.
You see, this has clock going. This has clock going to it. The one on the output, the keeper that I put here, for that we had this inverted output going there. Now my question is that inverted output could also go to some of these keepers. What will be the problem, or how do you avoid that problem if you connect this out bar? Like, what do you do? Can you always do it, or do you always need clock?
So clock is needed because else the footer would be on and there would be a short between VDD and ground at some cases.
Yes, at some places it could happen that out is, let us say, sometimes it could happen that, let us say in this particular case, for example, let us say A was 0, B was 1. Now what happens? As soon as clock goes to 1, this node is expected to discharge, but A is 0. So A will not let the out node to discharge. So if I had this inverter coming and then connecting, what would happen? This remains 1, this goes to 0. So there is a direct path from VDD to ground. So we can use output also for such intermediate keepers, but you have to be extremely careful that the connectivity is such that there is no direct path. If you want to play very, very safe, use the clock. Clock load would increase, and yeah, keepers are much smaller than these pre-charged transistors, but even then, clock load would increase.
Sir, one small thing, just can I ask? Sir, last class someone asked that footer can we place over A or B or not? Same thing could occur here also, because clock would be changing from 1 to 0 and there from 0 to 1. So direct short path could exist again here also, right? If we place footer above A and B, so the switching leakage would increase, right? Switching current would increase, right? If we place footer above A and B.
Why?
Because, sir, a longer direct path would exist where both the footer and precharge would be on at the same time during the clock transition period.
Why? Let us say this is how I put it. And
Yes,
then I
sir.
put A and B over here. Now, where is this extra current going? There's nothing.
So
If
let's say
either of
suppose
A
A and
if
B is
either
on.
of A or B is 0.
Okay, then it will not.
Nothing, no? If A and B were 1, then anyway there were 3. Even then, in this case, also 3 devices were 1, so they were expected to discharge out.
Okay, okay, sorry, sir. I was wrong. Sorry.
Hai na?
Yes,
So
understood.
why do we still keep the CK on the bottom? We could put CK on up there also, but why do we still keep it on the bottom?
Maybe due to that, we want to like keep the clock signals away from internal metal or internal interconnects or that, because that can lead to like some kind of capacitive effect coupling.
Sir, it essentially becomes an inverter, and in inverter layout or making we saw, whenever the inverter switches, there is some kink at the output that we observe. So some noise could be introduced, I think.
Okay, something else? We just talked
Sir,
about it.
Is the footer larger than other internal?
Can be. That
construct?
doesn't matter. That is not where the answer is. We discussed about this, in the static gates, we talked about inputs coming late should be closer to the output.
Input ordering.
Okay.
Inputs that come late should be closer to the output. We discussed that.
Yes, sir.
So over here in the evaluation phase, the output will discharge when A and B will go to 1. So what is coming after CK has gone to 1? A and B. Hai?
Yes.
So therefore we need the CK to be on the bottom so that your output still comes fast. Raghav?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Sir,
your
I
hand
mean,
is raised.
sir, but like one was the input ordering, but could that be also reason that because clock activity is very high, so in between we have like different kind of interconnects running through that, and if it is above,
Let us forget that. Even if you do not look at the layout aspects, you want still the CK to be at the bottom, because whenever A and B, whichever of them, when both of them go to 1, you want the output to be discharged as quickly as possible.
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That is the reason. Okay. If you are always sure that this A and B will arrive before CK arrives, it will always be set up, then it's a different thing. But that's not usually the case. You will not be able to ascertain that.
Yes.
So now the next problem that we are looking at is backgate coupling. So we said that you could couple static gates directly at the output of the dynamic gate without the inverter. Because static gates can take both kind of transitions, 0 to 1 and 1 to 0. So static gates के लिए कोई challenge नहीं है. But when you couple a static gate right after the write down out 1, what can happen?
Coupling will be there.
Yeah, so backgate coupling starts to happen. Now let us say that your out 1 was something and out 2 was something and all that. In goes to 1 from 0. From 0, in goes to 1. Out 1 was already 1. What will happen? At once out 2 will discharge now.
Yes, sir.
When out 2 discharges, what will happen? Due to Miller coupling, out 1 will also see some discharge happening. So this backgate coupling is also an issue that you will have in dynamic gates. So even when you are coupling a static gate next to a dynamic gate, there could be such challenges that can appear.
Sir?
Are you able to see this?
Sir?
Yes.
So when the out 2 is getting discharged, the out 1 will also see a discharge. Can you please explain this line due to Miller coupling?
Yeah, this is the capacitance. This is the Miller coupling.
Yes, sir.
So out 2 went to 0.
Yes, sir.
Now this coupling capacitance also between out 2 and out 1.
This coupling, okay.
Hai?
Okay, that is why out 1. Out 1 is also.
Out 1 will also discharge, and there's nothing to charge it back again.
Yes, sir. Okay. Understood.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Another problem that we have is clock feed through. So dynamic gates, when you want to use, okay, they are very, very fast, very, very high speed, but they suffer from lots of these problems. There is another problem of clock feed through. This is something like what you were talking. आप लोग जो अभी थोड़ी देर पहले कह रहे थे कि when the clock comes, there will be some feed through between clock and the output. This is what we discussed. This part. You remember?
Yes, sir.
You discussed this earlier. So this is also a problem, because unnecessarily your output is going up and low and all that. We don't want that also. So and these cannot be avoided. And there are other problems also. Capacitive coupling, as we know that this node is floating. This output node will be floating when CK is equal to 1. So any crosstalk that will lead to noise and injection of charge injection over here. Substrate coupling, any noise on the substrate over here when the output is floating, again that will couple onto the output. So supply noise, so many things linked to dynamic gates. But even then, you will see they are used fairly much more often than pass transistor logic and transmission gate logic. They're used much more often than those two places. Why? Because they are very high speed. Very, very high speed. Power is higher, but speed is also very high, which is what people love.
Sir?
Yes.
So theoretically, if I say, I think see that, but pseudo NMOS would be even faster, should be than this dynamic, right?
Pseudo NMOS cannot go to 0, no?
Yeah, that is the challenge.
So you don't want that. Anna? Rajneesh?
Sir, can you move to the clock feed through slide? सर बैक वन स्लाइड before. सर इसमें सर आपने बोला कि ये VDD से हाई हो जाएगा सर, तो VDD से हाई होने से क्या हो जाएगा सर वोल्टेज, अगर VDD से हाई हो गया तो?
नॉइज आ रही है ना, गेट रिलायबिलिटी becomes an issue.
Okay sir, so sir we will write that if VDD increase, the gate reliability decreases. This is the only thing.
Yeah, at higher VDD, the gate age is faster, so the gate reliability degrades. Yes.
Okay, sir.
Hello?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So now we formally come to the topic of cascading dynamic gates. So we see that this is not the right way to cascade. Hello? What would happen here?
If the out transition is from 1 to 0, then I will have some discharge and that will not be refreshed.
Yes. So out 1 goes to 0 after CK comes. But even before out 1 goes to 0, out 2 has discharged a little. So you cannot really cascade dynamic gates just like this. So what do? We can have other ways to cascade gates. So which is like, first we already talked about, put an inverter in between. The inverter will solve the problem because transitions are now always 0 to 1. So 0 to 1 transitions are safe. No problems there. This is called domino logic. Why is it called domino? You've seen dominoes?
Yes, sir. The circuit is being evaluated one after the another, stage by stage.
Yeah. So dominoes are stacks of cards. One falls, it touches the other one falls, the other one falls, the other one falls, and the whole chain gets activated. During the Corona times, there was this ad, that you have to break the chain, so wear the mask. So one person wears the mask, that person comes out of this domino chain, and the overall chain breaks. Otherwise, everyone gets infected. You remember that ad? WhatsApp पे बहुत circulate हुई थी. Seen that?
Yes, sir.
So domino, this is called domino because until out 1 goes to 1, PDN, the second PDN will not evaluate. So only after first PDN has evaluated will the second PDN evaluate, then the third PDN evaluate, then the fourth PDN evaluate. That is why it is called as domino logic. Okay. Yeah, questions. So Tarun.
Hello, sir. It's more of an open-ended question. So as we go more and more towards low power design, so shouldn't the dynamic circuits be like of very little use?
Yeah, but there's still much more, as I said, there's still much more often used than PTL and pseudo NMOS is not used almost anywhere. You'll still see dynamic circuits used fairly often, much often than pseudo NMOS and PTL. Okay.
Okay, like we take the example of power wall and all, so that in that context, thank you.
Yeah. Madhur?
Sir, learning all these different designs is fine, but with so much variety of designs that are possible, and how do we even decide what a particular how to design a particular thing. Like in a processor, there will be thousands of different components like adders, multipliers, and so many different kinds of things, and so many different kinds of constraint. If this is fast, then this has to be slow, and all these things have to be met. So how do we even decide on
So the
these things?
default, so Madhu, the default would be static CMOS. Okay. Now, if you want higher speed than static CMOS, then you go to dynamic. Okay. If in the static CMOS, you know that there are places where you could save area by going to PTL, and that those movements are always zero output to be transmitted from one side to the other, then you could go to PTL also. Okay. For example, now this will be PTL wala cheese would be in places like implementing muxes in memories. Okay. So there are some very specific use cases for all these other design styles. Default is always static CMOS, and that too, whatever is best for your layout. All those skewed CMOS gates and high skew, low skew, and all those, they are also very specifically used in data paths when you really want to speed up exactly one or two critical paths. Otherwise, even they are not used, even though they are static CMOS. Okay, but all these levers you should know as designers, because tomorrow when you go and design somewhere, you should know that, okay, if my manager or my customer is asking for much higher speed, there is this additional lever that I have, which is domino logic. I can try that, and you can experiment with it, and you can see, okay, now with domino static CMOS, I can go to 500 megahertz. Domino, I can go to 800. But with static CMOS, the power was, let us say, 2 milliwatts, and the domino, it is 3.8. I've got much higher speed, but power has also increased. So let the customer choose.
Okay. Okay. So like in embedded systems like application, I will prefer to use static because it consumes lower power and not.
Yeah. Typically, you will only use static, Madhur. Static is the mainstay. That is why it is also taught in second, third year.
Okay. Okay.
This being an advanced course, you're talking about more advanced things also.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Those are not the mainstay. Don't confuse it with that. They are not the mainstay. All this DCVSL and all those. So we discussed DCVSL, for example, is only used for XOR NOR combination. Almost nowhere else. They're very specific ideas, and they are being shared so that app trigger ho, and if you come up with, you get inspired by these specific gains, and you can propose something new yourself also.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Devjit?
Yes, sir. Sir, one confusion that I'm getting over here is, sir, how we are preserving the total logic actually, total input to output logic.
How do you preserve that in a regular static CMOS gate?
Sir, my confusion here is, suppose we are implementing an SOP, suppose AB plus CD. The first stage would be AND gate, next stage would be OR gate. So now here we are if you are placing an inverter in between, so means that no, they are
bubble shifting, na? De Morgan's theorem, you know that, no?
So some kind of bubble pushing need to be made, and NAND representation, something like that.
Yes. What's the big deal there? That is a simpler part. The other challenges that we discussed just now, they are the more complex ones, Devjit. Bubble pushing is so logical, it is so simple.
Sir, so suppose you have given me to design AOI in non-complex form in a where individual gates need to be also a dynamic gate. So you will not ask me that suppose this is an AND gate, why we implemented using a NAND gate. You will just simply the input and output, right?
Yeah.
And sir, one more question here
you
is,
have to recreate the truth table. That's it.
Yes, a truth table should be preserved, input and output. And one more thing here is that it's a keeper circuit. How we can place that? Can we just show in the diagram now?
Keeper circuit in the
first level.
In the first level. Yeah.
Okay.
Why was this question there?
सर आउटपुट कैपेसिटेंस इंक्रीज हो जाएगा ना थोड़ा सा एक्चुअली मतलब
कितना छोटा सा तो कीपर है 0.135 by 0.2, इट्स अ वेरी स्मॉल कीपर। उससे ज्यादा तो आपकी वायर की कैपेसिटेंस आ जाएगी।
ओके so turning on the keeper would be not a problem or challenge anywhere there.
Yeah, that is why you also design it to be very small, huh?
Yes sir, understood. Thank you sir.
Yeah.
Sir, can we here also prefer that in the inverter, can we prefer a high speed inverter here because we are only interested in the 0 to 1 transition?
Yes, you can. Faisal?
So I understood the issue of cascading कि out one अगर 0 से 1 हो जाएगा तो out 2 कभी भी discharge हो सकता है। तो how by using this inverter how we are removing this, I'm not able to get that part.
You tell me, what was the, if this inverter was not there, what was the default state of input coming to this second PDN? If this inverter was not there, what would be this input's default state in the pre-charge state?
0 to 1.
Eh? Clock
What
is
does
0.
it? Yes sir.
Clock is 0. So what will be the level of this input if this inverter was not there?
Clock is 0, then it is 1. Yeah.
है ना? So if it
Yes,
is
sir.
1, then what happens? As soon as clock comes, even before this one discharges, this one would discharge.
Yes sir.
We don't want that.
Yes sir. इसलिए हम उसको 0 कर okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay
है
sir.
ना? Because inverter changes the default state to 0.
Yes sir.
Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, this is also explained in the animation over here. Now, domino we just discussed. Why it is domino? Because only after the first one is evaluated, the second one will be evaluated, then the third one, then the fourth one. Okay. And again, properties of domino, only non-inverted logic can be implemented. And because it is dynamic gate based and capacitances are reduced, there is smaller logical effort. This is much, much faster. And as one of you already pointed out, inverter can be skewed because only one transition is important for us. The other one is not even important. So domino can be designed very, very fast. Now, look at it like this. Over here, if I know that only after this comes here, will this gate be evaluated? Do I even need a clock over here? So what we say is, okay, let us remove the footer of the subsequent stages. And when we remove the footer of the subsequent stages, we are able to reduce some NMOSes also. We can reduce the size of the NMOSes in this stack also, and therefore gain further area. Are you able to see this?
Yes, sir, but this can be done only if there is no static output coming to line.
This can be done only if this out one is going something like this, and then there is other whatever. Out one is coming here. If out one was also in parallel with some other stuff, then you can't do this. Then the CK has to be there. Are you able to see this?
Explain this again, so.
Sorry?
Can you explain this point again?
Yeah. So why did we say that we will remove this footer transistor? Because we said that, okay, this will get evaluated here, and only after this gets evaluated can this output get discharged. Hai?
Yes, sir.
What does that mean? That this first out one is in the same situation as a footer. There is nothing in parallel to out one, which would allow this logic to discharge the capacitance over here.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Now, let us say if in parallel to out one, there was some other signal also. Let us say E that was coming. Then you still need this.
Okay, right. Yes, sir.
Because otherwise, the output load over here will start to get discharged through this other path.
Yes, sir. Basically, I need to ensure that out is the latest signal that is arriving.
Yes.
Same thing.
So this
Yes.
footless domino, this is called as footless domino, can be has to be used only very carefully. Cannot be just or remove all the footers and go ahead. It cannot work. Okay.
Yes.
So carefully, but what is being said is there is a scope of further optimization. We were talking about n+2. We could possibly do with only n+1. Then there is also this differential or dual rail domino, where you have, again, possibly used for XOR and XNOR kind of a thing, where A and B and A bar and B bar all are used. Okay. And you get the differential output also. Again, as I said, differential gates जहाँ पे आपको चाहिए वहाँ पे ही खाली आप इसको use करोगे. You'll use it only at those places where you need that differential output to be driven. Okay.
So, but here we can also get the inverting outputs, right? So
Yeah,
that
वही तो आया ना?
yes.
And that is where we did not bring the keeper input from after this inverter. We said, okay, we will use it from here itself. Okay, because the outputs are inverted. One of the keepers is going to be on, the other one is going to be off. So another way to cascade is using NP-CMOS. What does this mean? That the first pull down network, if it is made out of NMOSes, then you cascade it with another gate which has not pull down network but pull up network. And this out 2 is recharged to 0 instead of 1. So this is a flipped dynamic gate. And what is happening? Over here clock is coming, so over here clock bar is coming. You're working in 2 phases. Are you able to see this? You're just looking at how to make this dynamic gate stuff more usable. Huh?
Why we are doing this NP-CMOS thing?
You tell me.
Inverter is not there anymore.
We've avoided the inverter because now we say if there is a pull-up network, it can accept 1 to 0 transition. See, when pull-down network was driving another pull-down network, then only 0 to 1 transitions were allowed. For that, I had to put an inverter there. Now, if I put a pull-up network on the next gate, then what happens? 1 to 0 transitions are also allowed. Or in fact, only 1 to 0 transitions are allowed. So you don't need those inverters in between.
So, but we have removed an inverter and we are considering a circuit with the PMOSes. So, what about the area then?
Yeah, but think about the delay because inverters were adding delay. Now that delay is avoided.
Okay. So according to the application, we have to decide.
Yes, according to the application you choose. Because at some places where because you're using dynamic only for speed, you may want more speed, and then you can do this.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So yes, I'm so happy that all of you are now thinking like designers. Oh, I have improved speed. So what happened to area? What is happening to power? You have to continuously keep all the 3 things in mind when you design. You cannot just design for speed. And now over here, if you're giving away that more area because of implementing it in pull-up network, you realize that what is happening?
The speed is
gaining. You're consciously doing it.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this saves you all those inverters there. Now this is NORA logic, which said that, okay, NP to hai hi, I may want to couple this PDN with another PDN. So I will also have an inverter over here and drive other PDNs. And similarly, I may drive PDNs from out 2, but I can have an inverter and drive other PUNs. So this is further extension of the NP logic that we talked over here. Are you able to see this?
So can we explain this once again with this node?
So what was there in NP logic? In NP logic, only this part was there. है ना?
Yes, sir.
Now it may happen that for some particular gate, implementation through PUN could be really very large area. And due to that very large area itself, you will not be able to gain speed.
Yes.
Can happen.
Yes, sir.
So you say, okay, let me use that signal as PDN only. For other signals that it drives, I will use a PUN. So this is maximum flexible. You have PDN driving a PDN in a domino format. You have PDN driving a PUN in an NP format. Again, PUN driving a PDN in an NP format, and PUN driving a PUN in a domino format. So this is a mix of domino and NP.
Sir?
But you also realize this is so much more complex to design, is it not? So many PUNs, PDNs, everything to be designed.
Sir, here, even though my area is increasing, I am able to drive 3 other outputs at a time.
So that you could have done earlier also. That you could have done earlier also. We're just saying that in the NP, in the previous slide, when I was showing NP, I was saying that PDN is always followed by a PUN.
Yes, sir.
Over here now I am saying, in NORA I am saying, okay, bring in an inverter and I can actually draw a PDN also.
In this case, I should be increasing the size of my PDN in my first stage, right, sir? Because as it's depending
That's
on
the logical effort, you know, Navesh.
Yeah.
Yeah. We don't go back to that thing again. This is basics we already discussed. They were fundamental. You will naturally do that. I expect you to do that.
Okay.
Sizing is now trivial. Sizing, matlab, it is not trivial, it is important, but we've already understood sizing in much detail earlier. So let's not get bogged down by that over and over again. At least in the class.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Huh? So yes, sizing you will have to do. We will do. Hai na?
It's not about the sizing, it's about the increase of area, sir. Exactly. That's what
Why
I was
would area increase if there is no change in sizing?
Sir, obviously, if we are connecting a PDN to our output, then I am supposed to increase my sizing accordingly of my previous stage. So area would increase.
Sizing की वजह से area बढ़ेगा ना, Vaishnav?
Oh, okay, sir. Yeah.
Because you change the sizes, that is where area increase, na? है ना? Yeah. Raghav?
Well, actually, I got this concept, but why I'm like integrating both kind of like in the NORA, like NP also integrating and the dynamic also integrating. What exactly I'm benefit? I'm not able to get clearly about that.
Let us say that, just, you know, the exact same doubt that Faisal had asked, that if you're using a PUN, then the area of this PUN is increased.
Yes, sir.
Huh. So now let us say this PUN is really complex and the area increases so much that those internal capacitances on the PMOSes, they delay much more than an inverter would have delayed.
Okay.
Possible?
Fine. Yes, sir. Possible.
Then you use a PDN only. You say, okay, then an inverter plus PDN will be faster and also lesser area. Let me use a PDN. But so one gate is driving two different logics. For one logic, a PDN work better. For another, PUN work better. And NORA allows you to use both.
So, but how will the functionality, how will the basically the internal connections will be made? Because I'm getting both connections, right? I both to the PUN also, the NP connection also, and the dynamic connection also.
Yeah.
So, but so for example, if I'm making the
wire
layout,
one, this is wire and metal one that you have over here. You will just take it somewhere else also.
yes, sir. So that is not the issue. I'm asking that if I'm implementing a layout, so I have implemented both. I am dynamic and NP CMOS. So why I'm integrating both kind of in the same itself? I can pre-evaluate na ki okay, this PUN could be more complex, so I will not even implement it in the same design.
I will not. That is where I will go to the PDN.
Okay.
So you're not working at a standard cell now. You're working at a cascading of these standard cells.
Okay. Yes, sir.
You've already moved to the cascading domino gates, na? Dynamic gates section.
Yeah. Okay. So
This is one standard cell. This is the other standard cell. There would be another standard cells over here.
Okay. So I was getting confused with that. Okay. Fine, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Anything else? Devjit?
Yes, sir. One small question regarding the non-complex implementation only. So, sir, we can do it in two ways, right? Using the domino logic or the footless domino. Or dynamic cascaded after dynamic, where we might need two inverters in between.
Two inverters, no. Two inverters, again, the challenge comes with the transition, Devjit.
Yeah, delay increases, yes, sir.
Not the delay, the transitions. You only want 0 to 1 transitions happening.
0 to 1 transition.
That is the challenge.
So between domino and footless domino, yes, sir. Yes, sir. So between the domino and footless domino, sir, means what we should do means in our project for non-complex implementation.
Domino. Because you're making only one cell, no? You're not making a path. So for the other stage wala path, you can use footless also in the second stage, but just see if it works for you. If it doesn't, then don't.
Sir, domino is only expected, right? So if someone makes, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Chaliye. So class we will close now, and next class there is this presentation. Monday we have the quiz. We'll meet on next Wednesday. And we'll meet on Monday also, office hours, and then next Wednesday. Okay.
Sir.
Yes, Raghav.
Actually, I need to talk to you regarding something else.
Okay. We can wait. I will stop the recording.
Sir, regarding first presentation, can I ask one more thing, sir? Sir,
Yes.
for non-complex implementation, just said that just the functionality and schematic would be enough. And for complex, if we do the till the pre-layout simulation.
So see, all these instructions are already clarified on the classroom, na? Let's go with that only.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
If there is some further clarification in it, ask on the classroom. Everyone will get to know. Abhi, there are only 33 students in the class. It was not fair.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Sir.
Yes.
Yeah. So sir, actually जब हम footless domino use करते हैं तो सर जो हम उसको clock को remove कर देते हैं तो we connected to the previous clock, right? मतलब जो जो क्या बोलते हैं उसको header and footer, yeah, footer. Or we just leave it. We can just leave it, ना?
Yeah. So कुछ है ही नहीं ना, इसका output आएगा यहाँ पे.
Yeah. But sir, मतलब हम नीचे वाला जो clock remove करते हैं तो हम वो connection
So ground से connect कर देते हैं.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Yeah. So, Moin, you have a question?
Yes, sir, I have. My question is related to project only, Dynamo. Actually, what I did is, as you said in the office hour, I removed the minimum DRC to trace the maximum NMOS sizes. In that space, I got the possibility of the NMOS. Somewhere I can place the minimum NMOS, somewhere I can place the maximum. And as you said, the footer should be a maximum one so that the delays will be lesser. And what I planned is that the NMOS which is near to the output, I'll try to keep it as a minimum one. So what I am seeing is that when these transistors are coming in series, they see the current capabilities will be different. Like the smallest one, which should be the one
with the limiting one.
Yeah. So the size which I increase the footer, that I am not using actually.
Yeah. It won't change anything for you.
Yeah. So keeping the footer maximum is not useful anything like.
No.
if I make it as similar as the one which is near to the output,
Yeah.
then I can use the lesser area.
Yes. Even if area doesn't change, at least your leakage will reduce. Gate capacitances will reduce. Clock load will reduce.
But the delays will be increased, no, sir?
Delays will be almost similar because there is something which is equivalent resistance already there.
Okay. One more question is there, sir. So as I trace the NMOS sizes and all, now I'll simulate and all things to know the maximum frequency. At what the maximum frequency I can do and the voltages. But I think the designing process should be the reverse. Like you should have given us the frequency and the VDD. Based on that, we should design, right?
No. You're designing a standard cell. So you just, I told you one finger, no more area loss.
So every time the design should be start for the dynamo. I think the design should be start from a layout.
For the standard cells, you know this is the template, this is the size. If you were designing free flow circuits, not standard cells, then you would do all that. Oh, this is my load. Then let's go back and see what should be the size of the driver, or what should be the size of the penalty made driver, and so on. Then you go that way. Otherwise, you simply draw.
Okay, so whenever the standard cell is made, so we have to first made it and
the
then
layout
say
is the layout is the one which determines the sizes primarily. Then if you want better speed, you use those buffers after your complex gate.
Yeah. One more question is, sir, you have given 70 for the annual. I didn't understand why you are giving this, because when I am choosing PMOS as small as possible, then in NMOS, some area is still left in the annual area, which I am using for the routing purpose. So I think if that 70 constraint is removed, the area consumption is.
So that is a standard cell. So that is the standard cell constraint. We can't remove that.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay. That is a standard cell constraint that we have set for our library. Okay. Because we also are going to design static CMOS gates. That is where we have kept that as 7. Otherwise, we would have kept it differently. Okay. So thank you guys. See you on Monday then.
Yeah.